Imagine if you could learn to nurture and guide your mind, something that ancient Stoic philosophers attempted many centuries ago in Greece and Rome. They believed that if we can understand well what we think, feel, and how we react to what happens to us, we can find inner peace that does not depend on what is happening outside of us. In this video, we learn some Stoic ideas that help us find more balance, peace, and meaning in our daily lives. If we can understand these ideas and gradually apply them, we can live more peacefully, even when things don't go the way we want. If this is your first time visiting my channel, I invite you to subscribe and like the video. This way, I can continue creating useful content and sharing more lessons like this with you. First Stoic principle: search for inner peace. Regardless of what happens outside of us, the Stoics believed that true joy and peace should not depend on what happens in the outside world. On the contrary, they thought it was better to seek this peace within themselves, regardless of whether things around them were good or bad. Accept that nothing is forever to stay calm. It is also important to accept that everything changes. The people, the moments, the good and bad things. Nothing lasts forever. If we try to hold on to something that will change, we will suffer. But when we accept that everything changes, our mind remains firm and calm when life changes. Stay calm in difficult times. One of the most valuable aspects of this quest is finding peace even when things go wrong. The Stoics believed that problems and challenges were opportunities to learn, become stronger, and grow as people. Stay away from emotions that cause harm. For Stoics, it is important that emotions such as anger, fear, or deep sadness do not take control. It's not about ignoring them, but about learning to sense them without letting them lead us to behaviors we will later regret. We achieve inner peace by recognizing what we feel without allowing it to determine our actions. Live with virtues. For them, a good life means acting with values such as wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. When we act with these values, we have no reason to feel blame or regret, because we know that we have done the right thing. Feel good with what you have. The Stoics thought that the desire to always want more, be it money, fame, or pleasure, can lead us to feel empty. For this reason, they taught that it is better to learn to be content with what one has, without becoming too attached to material things. Peace as a way of life. Ultimately, the Stoics viewed inner peace as something worth seeking every day, not because it is easy, but because it is a path that helps us live with more meaning, strength, and joy, even in difficult times. Inner peace is seen as something valuable that one strives for throughout life. It is not achieved all at once, but rather developed gradually, with practice, effort, and self-control. The Stoics also say that in seeking this peace, we also strive to be free within. When we do not allow strong emotions, desires we cannot control, or what is happening outside of us to dominate us, we begin to be truly free. This freedom allows us to live as we see fit. In short, the search for inner peace is a very important part of Stoic thought. This search includes learning not to rely on what happens outside of us, accepting that nothing lasts forever, detaching from painful emotions, and living by values such as honesty and kindness. This path leads us to a more peaceful, better, and more meaningful life, where true peace is found within ourselves and not in the things we have or in what is happening around us. Second Stoic principle: accept what we cannot change. This is one of the most important points if we want to have a calm mind and live wiser. The Stoics said that many things in life are not under our control. For example, what other people do, what happens in nature, what has already happened or what has not happened yet. The important thing is to fully accept this reality and devote our energy to what we can change, our decisions, thoughts, and actions. Do you know what things we can handle? The Stoics encourage us to learn the difference between what we can change and what we cannot change. This means that there are things that depend on us, such as our words or our actions. And there are others that we cannot change, such as the behavior of others or what happened a long time ago. When we understand this difference, we don't feel guilty about things we can't fix. Let go of unrealistic expectations. We often suffer because we expect everything to be perfect, or that things will always go the way we want them to. The Stoics invite us to put aside ideas that do not fit reality. Accepting things as they are does not mean that we do not care, but rather that our hopes must be based on what can actually happen. Face difficult moments calmly. Accepting that there are difficult moments in life helps us to have more strength and courage. Stoics believe that we can see problems as opportunities to learn and become wiser, rather than getting angry or giving up. Pay attention to how we react. Although we cannot choose everything that happens, we can decide how we react. This choice is one of the most valuable things we have. Therefore, the Stoics taught that it is best to respond with patience, understanding, and wisdom, so our answers become a way to show who we really are. Don't get stuck in the past or the future. Thinking too much about what has already happened or what might happen later can steal the joy of the present moment. The Stoics remembered that we cannot change the past and that the future is uncertain. The wisest thing is to focus our attention on the now, because only then can we really do something. Accepting what is beyond our control, along with the desire to improve ourselves as human beings and act virtuously, leads us to a calmer and wiser life. This path helps us to face difficult times with balance and inner strength, and enables us to live more honestly, kindly, and courageously. Third Stoic principle: virtue is the most important good for the Stoics. The most valuable thing a person can do is practice virtue, that is, do what is right with heart and mind. They spoke of 4 main virtues that contribute to a good life. These virtues are wisdom, but, the justice and the moderation. Wisdom. Sophia. Wisdom means wanting to learn and understand how the world works and how people are doing. Being wise means seeking the truth, knowing yourself and knowing what's truly important in life. Mute. Andrea, courage means having the inner strength to do the right thing, even when we're afraid or in a difficult situation. The Stoics said that courage also requires wisdom, because you have to know when it's worth facing danger. Justice. Dikaiosin. Justice means treating everyone with respect, without making unfair distinctions. It's also about acting honestly and respecting the rights of others. For the Stoics, fairness is very important for living well with others. Temperance. Sophrosin. Temperance means knowing how to control desires and not being carried away by impulses. It means not always striving for more food, more things, or more fun, but learning to enjoy things with balance. It's also about staying calm and not letting emotions dominate us. A practice that never ends for the Stoics. No one is perfect. But we can all strive to improve every day and practice these virtues. Learning to live with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance is a lifelong journey. Virtue as a path to happiness. The Stoics believed that true happiness depends not on what we have, but on how we live. If we follow these virtues, we can feel good no matter what's happening outside. Virtue makes us strong inside. Practicing virtue helps us to be strong internally, both in heart and mind. We don't need wealth, fame, or the approval of others to experience joy and well-being, control and personal change. The pursuit of virtue also means learning to control ourselves, recognizing our mistakes, and gradually changing ourselves to become better. It's about growing as human beings and finding meaning in what we do. A life with meaning, virtue helps us make good choices, live peacefully with others, and contribute something good to the world. Living virtuously means choosing a life that has meaning and does good to others. In short, the Stoics taught that living a life of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance is the best way to live a life full of courage, peace, and meaning. Practicing these virtues is at the heart of their philosophy, and if you enjoy the content, consider becoming a member of the channel. Not only will you be helping the channel, but you'll also have access to exclusive content. Click the link in the description and become a member now. Back to content. Fourth Stoic principle: learning to deal with emotions. For the Stoics, virtue is not just a complicated idea, but a guide to living well in everyday life. It helps us make right decisions and feel peace, no matter what's happening outside of us. One of the most important principles is learn to control emotions. For the Stoics, knowing how to deal with their emotions is the key to a calm and virtuous life. Emotions are strong. The Stoics knew that emotions can be very powerful. Sometimes, when we feel things like anger or fear, we act without thinking. Therefore, it's important to learn how to manage our feelings. Do you know our feelings? The first step is to find out how we feel. This is called emotional self-confidence. It means recognizing whether we are sad, angry, scared, or very happy. It's important to name each emotion to better understand it. Take distance from what we feel. After recognizing an emotion, the Stoics recommend take some distance. Instead of letting our emotions get the better of us, we can pause and reflect. This allows us to see the situation more clearly. Think before you act. The Stoics believe that the mind must guide the heart. This means that we ask ourselves through our thoughts whether what we are feeling is helping us or making things harder. For example, if we are angry, we can ask ourselves whether this anger is justified and whether it is worth acting angrily. Choose answers that do good. After thinking about what we feel, we can choose how you want to react. Instead of shouting or reacting angrily, we can respond with calm, respect, or patience. This requires practice and a lot of inner strength, but it helps us grow as people. Turn the negative into something good. The Stoics also teach that we can transform difficult emotions into something useful. For example, when we feel fear, we can use it to be more mindful and take better care of ourselves. This turns the apparent problem into an opportunity to act intelligently, be in balance. The goal is to reach a state called emotional equanimity. This means that emotions do not control us, even if we continue to feel them. It is not about stopping the feeling, but about deal with what we feel with wisdom. Accept what we feel. The Stoics did not believe that we should erase emotions. This is what they said: feeling is part of being human. It's normal to feel sad when we lose something, and to feel joy when something good happens. The most important thing is that these emotions don't hurt us or distance us from what is right. A lifelong practice. Learning to control our emotions is a long and not always easy journey, but it's essential if we want to live a peaceful and fair life. When we learn to respond with wisdom, justice, and courage, we can feel peace in our hearts without depending on what's happening outside of us. Fifth Stoic principle: live in the present. The fifth principle of Stoic philosophy invites us to live in the present, that is, paying attention to what's happening now. This principle contributes to a calmer mind and a more meaningful life. Stop looking back in pain. This is what the Stoics taught. Regretting the past is pointless because the past is already past and cannot be changed. Instead of dwelling on mistakes or sad moments, the Stoics suggested learn from experience. In this way, we let go of the burden of the past and can use our energy for what we experience today. Don't be constantly afraid of the future. Being afraid or worrying too much about what's coming can make us feel bad. The Stoics said it's okay. Think about the future and prepare yourself, but without allowing this worry to rob us of our peace. No one knows exactly what will happen, so it's better not to let fear control us. Appreciate the moment we live in. The present is the only thing we really have. The Stoics invite us to enjoy this moment, paying attention to the small details and finding joy in simple things like a conversation, a flower, or the sound of the wind helps us to be grateful for what we have now. Pay attention to what we do. Living in the present also means be attentive to the task at hand. Instead of doing many things at once or distracting ourselves with thoughts, it is better give our full attention in what we do. This way we work better and have more fun doing everything. In the present we have power. For the Stoics, this is only the time in which we can really decide it is now. We cannot change what has already happened or control what has not yet happened. But yes, we can act with wisdom and kindness in this moment. That's what really matters. Exercises to be more present. Activities such as meditation or the exercises mindfulness. They are useful for learning to be more attentive. These exercises help us calm the mind so that we stop thinking excessively. and focus more on what we feel and do. Living in the present reduces suffering. When we learn to live more in the now, we suffer less from things that are no longer there or that have not yet occurred. This helps us make better decisions, to feel calmer and live with more joy. In summary, this Stoic principle reminds us that the gift is a gift. It teaches us to appreciate the moment we have, to accept that life changes, and to find inner peace in what we can do now. This doesn't mean forgetting the past or not thinking about the future, but rather that let us live with meaning step by step in the only time we have, the present. Sixth Stoic principle: learn to be at peace with joys and pains. Imagine you're on a roller coaster. You climb very high, scream with excitement, and then descend very quickly, your stomach in knots. Our days are often like this. Sometimes we're happy because something went well, and other times we feel bad because something didn't go the way we wanted. The Stoics said we shouldn't live on an emotional roller coaster. They suggested another idea: seek peace regardless of whether we are enjoying something or going through a difficult time. That's what they called it, equanimity, when your mind is calm and stable like a lake without waves. What does it mean to be indifferent to pleasure and pain? It's not about ignoring what we feel, nor about no longer enjoying it. The Stoics didn't say, never eat your favorite dessert, or don't laugh with your friends. What they did say was enjoy it, but don't let yourself be tied down. Because if everything that makes you happy depends on things like food, gifts, or praise, then you will be like a leaf blown by the wind, directionless and changing with each passing moment. And what about the pain? They also said that you shouldn't run away from pain as if it were a monster. Pain is a part of life. Sometimes it hurts to lose something, fail, or suffer an illness. But that doesn't mean you should stay stuck in suffering. Simple example: if you have a toothache, you can take a remedy or go to the dentist. But if you also think all day, how unfair, this ruined my week, then you suffer twice, from the physical pain and from what you tell yourself. This is what the Stoics teach us. We cannot always decide what happens, but we can choose how we react. Enjoyment in moderation. Enjoying something isn't bad. The problem begins when we seek it without stopping and without thinking. Imagine eating 5 chocolates in a row. It's delicious at first, but then your stomach hurts. Or if you stay up all night watching your favorite TV show and find yourself tired and grumpy the next day. What seemed like a treat eventually became a problem. Therefore, the Stoics spoke of the wisdom. That means, think before you let yourself go and ask yourself, is this good for me now and later? Am I exaggerating? When you practice this, you will have more control and feel freer because you no longer need 1,000 things to be healthy. Face pain with courage. Pain is a part of life, like rain or wind. You can't always avoid it, but you can learn to defend yourself courageously against it. The Stoics said that pain is the opportunity to strengthen. It's not something that will destroy you, but something that can teach you something. Imagine you're on a football team and they lose a game. You can surrender and say, I don't want to play anymore. Or you can think, what can I learn to improve next time? It is this changed attitude that makes your character grow. Don't rely on appearances to be happy. Sometimes we think we need certain things to be healthy. A new phone, more money, more friends, or more likes on a post. But the Stoics said something completely different. Your happiness should not depend on things you cannot control. Having good things is not bad. What matters is that don't define yourself. You are much more than what you have, what you achieve, or what people think of you. Losing something doesn't diminish your worth as a person. Emotional distance. The Stoics also taught that it is important, don't let your feelings control your life. This doesn't mean you shouldn't feel, but it does mean you shouldn't simply act on impulse. For example, if you get angry because someone said something you didn't like, you might yell or say something hurtful. But if you breathe, calm down, and then speak respectfully, you're practicing emotional distance. Having that space between what you feel and what you do is like a superpower. Focus on virtue for the Stoics. True happiness comes not from quick pleasures, but from living a life of virtue. When you cultivate wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, you feel a deep and lasting joy. This joy doesn't disappear when pleasure disappears, nor is it broken when pain comes. It's within you, for it arises from your actions and your life choices. Self-control, your key to freedom. Putting this principle into practice is not easy, but it's worth it. It takes discipline, for example, when you decide to do sports even though you don't feel like it, or when you choose to study instead of playing. Every time you choose to act with virtue, rather than just following desire or fear, you become stronger inside. You become master of yourself. In summary, this sixth Stoic principle teaches us, do not live as a slave to pleasure or the fear of pain. Enjoy in moderation. Bear the pain bravely. Don't rely on what we don't control. Seek virtue as the surest path to inner peace. When you do this, you'll realize that you don't need so many things to be happy. You'll feel freer, calmer, and more content with life. But there's something important to understand. If you've been trying to step out of your comfort zone and learn more for a long time, but haven't been able to, there may be something you're not aware of. I know what it might be. It's fear. Fear is like a snake that silently arrives and influences you without you noticing. It makes you feel bad for days, months, and even years. Living like this is like being constantly sick. But I know a solution. Stoic philosophers and modern psychology have a way to eliminate this. I myself managed to cure this fear. I made a video explaining how to get rid of this evil, and it's in the first comment. Click the link in the first comment and begin healing this feeling of fear. Seventh Stoic principle, know thyself. Have you ever wondered why you react a certain way? Why does something make you so angry? Or why is it sometimes difficult for you to say no? For the Stoics, self-understanding is the first step to a good life. This seventh principle tells us something very important, the self-knowledge. What means look inside and really know yourself. Not just what we show others, but also what we think, feel, and act when no one is watching. Look in the mirror. Imagine you have a magic mirror that does not show your face, but your mind and your heart. In it you can see your thoughts, your feelings, and your decisions. This is how the Stoics thought we should observe ourselves, carefully and honestly, every day. They believed it was important. Ask us questions. Why did I behave like that today? What emotion overcame me this time? Am I proud of what I have done? This observation exercise is not about judging yourself, but about understand each other better, like a scientist examining his own inner world. Recognize our desires and fears. We all want things. Some want to be the best in school, others want to have lots of friends or feel admired. There are also things we avoid: failure, rejection, pain. But the Stoics invite us to ask ourselves, do I really need this to be happy? Is this fear I have justified, or am I exaggerating it? For example, if someone is afraid of speaking in public, they might think, what's the worst that can happen? By asking these questions, we begin to see things more clearly and are less afraid. What is really important to you? Another part of self-knowledge is reflect our values. What do you find important in life? Honesty, friendship, justice? Sometimes we act rashly and do things that do not reflect our values. But if we know what is really important to us, we align our actions with our ideas as if our life were a drawing that we want to paint with colors that we consciously choose. Accept yourself and improve at the same time. Knowing each other also means accept ourselves with our lights and shadows. We're not perfect, and that's okay. We all make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them and continue to grow. This does not mean that we should settle down or think, this is who I am and I can't change. On the contrary, those who know what can be improved can work on it patiently. It's like taking care of a plant. You don't yell at it if it doesn't grow quickly, but you don't abandon it either. You water it, give it sun, and help it bloom. Beware of self-deception. The Stoics warned of something dangerous, self-deception. This happens when we try to justify our bad decisions or when we find excuses not to change. For example, if someone shouts at another person out of anger and then says, "Well, I am," they avoid taking responsibility. Sincere self-knowledge helps us check out these mental traps and get out of them. Realize that you need to transform. For the Stoics, self-knowledge means not only looking at yourself, but changing yourself. When you know who you are, you can decide what you want to become. You can work to be braver, more just, wiser, or more moderate. It is a path from continuous improvement, where you can be a little better every day than yesterday. Control yourself. By knowing yourself, you also understand which things you can and cannot control. For example, you can't control whether it rains today, but you can control whether you get annoyed about it or whether you enjoy the sound of the rain from your home. This gives you power. Not the power to dominate others, but the most important power, to control one's own mind. A life with meaning. When you combine self-knowledge with the practice of Stoic virtues, such as wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage, you begin to live a deeper, more meaningful life. They no longer get carried away by everything that's happening outside. They no longer need constant approval or fear of making mistakes. You become freer and stronger inside. In summary, self-awareness is like a map that shows you where you are, where you want to go, and which paths you can take. It helps you understand what you think and feel, recognize your desires and fears, remember what is really important to you, accept yourself without stopping improving, discover the traps of your mind, transform yourself with every step, and above all, it gives you the opportunity to live with more peace, clarity, and meaning. Stoic philosophy ultimately shows us a very clear message. We cannot control everything that happens in the world, but we can work on knowing ourselves and choosing how we live. Did you like this video? Like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. This way, we know this content is helping you, and we can continue to create more materials to help you grow a little more internally every day.